Okay, so we're going to go over the steps to graphing a parabola. Parabola is a curve, and make sure that you listen to the video just as well as writing the information down, because listening to it is going to increase your retention. So first things first, we need to start with an equation that will create a parabola. It's a quadratic equation, and we're going to start with y equals x squared minus 2x minus 3. And then we're going to look at the steps, and we're going to do the steps. So it says identify A, B, and C. Well, A is the coefficient in front of your x squared term. So since it's x squared, the coefficient is 1. Your B is the coefficient in front of your x term, which would be a negative 2. And then your C is the constant back here, so negative 3. So those are your A, B's, and C's. And they're going to allow you to plot the graph by finding the points that are on the graph. So you find the vertex, the x value, which is negative b over 2a, and then you substitute that value in and solve for y. So again, we're going to go back to our a, b, and c, and our x value is equal to negative b, which would be the opposite of negative 2, over 2 times a. When we simplify that, negative times a negative is a positive 2, over 2 times 1 would be positive 2. So our x value is 1 for our vertex. The vertex is always in the middle of our 5-number summary. So we go down there. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take our x value and we're going to substitute it back into the original equation. So instead of y equals x squared minus 2x minus 3, it's going to be y equals 1 squared minus 2 times 1 minus 3. Y equals 1 squared is 1, 2 times 1 is 2, 3. And when we simplify that, 1 minus 2 would be negative 1, minus 3 would be a negative 4. And I'm going to put a negative 4. So our vertex is 1 comma negative 4, the point. The third thing, it says make a table and write the vertex coordinates in the center column. We just did that. The fourth thing, on either side of the vertex x value, choose 2 pairs of 2 numbers that are equidistant from the vertex x value. In other words, I want to pick numbers that are the same distance away from 1. So I'm going to pick a 0 here. And a 0 is 1 unit away from 1. So in the other direction, 1 unit away from 1 would be a 2. And then I'm also going to pick a negative 1 there. And negative 1 is 2 units away from 1. So 2 units away from 1 on the positive would be 3. And that's how you select those. If you can ever get a 0 in for your x values, that's a great idea. And I'll show you why in a moment. Now what we're going to do is we're going to figure out the corresponding y values for the x values that we selected. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to take our 0. You could do it with 0 or 2. You get the same answer. And we're going to plug it in to the equation. 0 squared minus 2 times 0 minus 3. Y equals 0 squared is 0 minus 2 times 0. That's another 0. So a negative 3. And we go up here, and in the table we fill in, we would go negative 3. Now, the cool thing with parabolas is that since they're the same distance away from the vertex, 0 and 2, their y values are going to be the same. So you can just write them in. And now we are going to figure out the second pair of y values by using, I'm going to use positive 3 instead of negative 1, just because I like positive numbers. 3 squared minus 2 times 3 minus 3. Y equals 3 squared is 9 minus 6 minus 3. Y equals 9 minus 6 would be 3. Minus 3 would be 0. So my y value here is a 0. And again, since 3 is the same distance away from 1 as negative 1 is, you could also put a 0 there. So now we're going to plot the points. Our first point, it works out nicely. We don't have to scale the graph at all. Positive 1, negative 4. That's our vertex. For our second point, we have positive 2, negative 3. We also have 0, negative 3. And for our third set of points, we have 3, 0. And we have negative 1, 0. And then you graph your line. Pick a different color here. Starting at the vertex, it's a curved line. Actually never stops curving. Put there. And here we go. Curve. And we have just graphed our parabola in standard form. Okay, if you have any questions, please watch the video again. If you're still uncertain, then ask myself or your teacher. Have a great day. I hope this helped.